He had no idea that the night of passion would end with a bullet piercing his skull. The music was still playing in the background, the strobe lights flickered like heartbeats in the dark, and the 17-year-old girl next to him was screaming, but not out of joy anymore. Blood poured from his temple as his body slumped forward on the edge of the jacuzzi. Minutes before, they had been laughing, drinking, taking selfies, and doing things they never imagined would cost a life. But someone had been watching, someone who had been quietly building rage for weeks. That someone didn't knock, that someone didn't hesitate, that someone pulled the trigger before the man even turned his head. It was an execution masked by jealousy and secrets. And what the police found next was even more disturbing than the murder itself. It was a Friday night in late June, in a quiet suburban neighborhood just outside of Tampa, Florida. Behind the gated driveways and trimmed lawns, a storm was silently brewing in a rental mansion nestled at the edge of a cul-de-sac. The place had been booked on a vacation rental site by 32-year-old Brandon Teller, a rising entrepreneur known for his flashy lifestyle, sports cars, and controversial presence on social media. That night, Brandon was not alone. He had been seen earlier at a private lounge with a girl many mistook for a young Instagram influencer. In reality, she was a 17-year-old high school student named Kyla Morton, someone who had lied about her age to get into adult spaces and had been entangled in Brandon's life for over 2 months. Brandon invited Kyla and a few of his friends to his rental mansion for what he described as a late-night poolside after-party. What no one knew was that someone else was watching the party through a cracked window, someone with a loaded gun. Brandon Teller had made headlines for launching an online crypto venture that skyrocketed during the pandemic. But his wealth came with controversy. Several lawsuits had already been filed against him for fraud, though none had stuck. He thrived off drama, had a reputation for dating much younger women, and flaunted his lifestyle shamelessly. But this wasn't just a case of a reckless millionaire living fast, because what led to his death was deeply personal. And it involved more than just one girl. Kyla wasn't just some random teenager swept up in Brandon's lavish life. She was smart, manipulative, and had a chaotic family background. Her parents, both nurses, had been fighting through a bitter divorce. Kyla, often left unsupervised, began seeking attention online. That's how she met Brandon, through a private message on his Instagram story. She told him she was 21, and he believed it, or pretended to. For weeks they partied together, even took weekend trips to Miami, all without anyone noticing her real age. Kyla didn't go to school anymore. She was always on vacation, as her friends joked. But this wasn't just a summer fling. It was leading to something much darker, because Kyla had an ex-boyfriend, someone who hadn't let go. 19-year-old Marcus Hayes was once Kyla's high school sweetheart. After she started seeing Brandon, she completely ghosted Marcus. But Marcus wasn't ready to let go. He became obsessed. He stalked her Instagram, messaged her dozens of times a day, and even showed up at her school when she returned briefly to collect her things. She ignored him, or so he thought. In reality, Kyla was scared. She'd seen Marcus with a gun before. She knew he wasn't just heartbroken, he was unstable. And on the night of the murder, Marcus was outside that mansion. It was 1:12 a.m. Brandon and Kyla were in the hot tub. Music was blasting. The others had gone home, and they were alone, laughing, sipping from red cups, playing around with each other. Then came a soft knock. Brandon looked toward the back door, confused. "You invite someone else?" he asked. "No," Kyla replied, looking startled. Seconds later, the glass door shattered. A figure stepped in, black hoodie, black jeans, and a mask. Brandon stood up, water dripping from his chest, about to shout something when, bang! The first shot hit him in the chest. He stumbled. Bang! The second one went straight into his head. He collapsed against the edge of the hot tub, his blood mixing with the swirling bubbles. Kyla screamed so loud the neighbors 3 houses down heard it. At 1:17 a.m., 911 calls flooded the Hillsborough County Dispatch Center. Dispatcher: 911, what's your emergency? Caller: there's gunshots. I think someone's been shot at the mansion on Vista Court. Caller 2: there's a girl screaming bloody murder. It's horrifying. Officers arrived within minutes. When they entered the backyard, Kyla was still crouched behind the hot tub, sobbing uncontrollably, covered in blood. Brandon was pronounced dead on the scene. No one else was in the house. But the killer was long gone. The police sealed off the house and began piecing the night together. Detective Lisa Forrester, leading the case, immediately suspected someone close to the victim. There were no signs of robbery. The killer came with one purpose: to murder Brandon Teller. Kyla, trembling and in shock, was taken into protective custody. What she told detectives the next morning changed everything. "I think it was Marcus," she whispered, almost like a child confessing a sin. "He told me if he ever saw me with Brandon, he'd kill him." Marcus didn't flee the country or even the state. He stayed at a friend's apartment 3 miles away. He thought he could outsmart the police. He even posted a vague Instagram story the next day. She chose him. Now she cries. It didn't take long for the detectives to connect the dots. Surveillance from a neighbor's Ring camera captured Marcus's car circling the neighborhood twice at 12:45 a.m. A black hoodie was found in a dumpster nearby with traces of gunpowder residue. On June 30th at 2:12 p.m., police executed a warrant and kicked in the door of the apartment Marcus was hiding in. He tried to run out the back, but SWAT was waiting. He was tackled to the ground and arrested on charges of first-degree murder. In the interrogation room, Marcus stayed silent for over 4 hours. Then finally, when shown a photo of Brandon's body and Kyla covered in blood, he whispered, "He ruined her. I loved her, and he ruined her." Detective Forrester replied coldly, "No, Marcus, you ruined everything." The trial of Marcus Hayes drew national attention, especially once the truth about Kyla's age came out. Brandon's estate tried to claim he didn't know she was a minor, but prosecutors were preparing additional charges for inappropriate relations with a minor had he lived. Marcus was convicted of murder and sentenced to life without parole. Kyla vanished from the public eye, moved states, changed her name, and tried to rebuild her life. But to this day, many say she still wakes up screaming from the memory of that night. A night meant for fun turned into a cold-blooded murder, a teenager's lie, a jealous ex-boyfriend, and a man who thought he was invincible. All it took was 2 bullets to end everything. And the lesson? Sometimes the real danger isn't in the shadows, it's standing right behind you, waiting for you to look the other way. If you found this case chilling and want to hear more terrifying and real stories just like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. This is True Crime Feedback, and we dig deeper into the darkness. Until next time, stay safe and always watch your back.